All right, welcome everyone, and thank you for joining today's Hackett webcast on the Next Gen GBS Equifax Strategic Evolution to Drive Digital Transformation. With that, Penny, can you switch to the first slide? Thank you. First and foremost, we are recording today's session, so all lines have been muted to ensure call quality. If you do have any questions for our panelists, you can submit them via the Q&A feature, or if you need technical support, you can reach out to myself, the host, using the chat feature, both of which are located in a banner at the bottom of your Zoom screen. We will be keeping an eye on the Q&A, and we'll bring them up at the end of the presentation, time permitting. Though anything we're not able to answer live, we'll respond to offline after the event has concluded. If you'd like to view the presentation in full screen, click on the arrows in the upper right-hand corner of the screen to do so. We have a rich calendar of upcoming webcasts currently posted to our member portal center. Over the coming months, we'll be featuring guest presenters and covering topics like end-to-end supply chain function, people management systems, and more. These sessions are open for registration, so do feel free to sign up for any that jump out to you. And then if you do have a success story of your own that you would like to share with membership through a Hackett webcast, please let us know and we'll be happy to discuss that opportunity with you. You can reach out to myself or your account manager to discuss next steps. Today's learning objectives are to understand the approach taken by Equifax to drive digital transformation, identify the Equifax GBS transformation journey and key milestones, and describe the value proposition of deploying successful automation products and evolving to a digital environment. And then today's webcast is eligible for CPE credit. To receive CPE credits, you are required to be online for at least 50 minutes, and you will need to participate in both of the polling questions today, as well as complete the evaluation survey that we will open in a separate browser after the presentation concludes. If you do not have a pop-up blocker in place, or if you see that a survey won't pop up for you, we will be sending that survey link in a separate email, so you'll get it in 2 different ways. However, if you're not attending to receive CPE credit, we do encourage everyone to participate in the quick survey as it helps us continuously improve our webcasts. So with that, I'll turn it over to Penny to introduce today's speaker.
Thank you, Katie, and a big shout out and appreciation to Equifax today. I'm excited and appreciate the Cindy organization, Costa Rica Investment Organization, who brought to us a special speaker today. So Jairo Eros is the Senior Vice President of their Global Business Services, and he's also the head of their RPA, and the IA. So you're in for an exciting journey today into their beautiful experience of what they've done. So in Jairo's extensive background, you can see he's got a 12-year career in technology space. He designed and implemented their shared services strategy and enterprise and took over the lead as their site leader in Costa Rica. He's joined to us today from balmy Atlanta, where I understand it's a cool 40 degrees. So the 4 times that I've been to Costa Rica, that weather does not compare to the beautiful Costa Rica climate. Beautiful background that we have with you today, Master of Business Administration from George Washington University, Business Process Management, so a wealth of credentials and information. We're going to have the team that's joining us today run the slides from a remote perspective, so I will be turning the slide transition over to Jairo's team. So welcome again, Jairo, and thank you in advance for sharing your insights.
Thank you very much. Happy to be here and happy to have my team joining. Perfect. So I think the topic of global business services is something that has been discussed for decades now. And as we have deployed shared services capabilities within Equifax as a way to operate our business, there are many things we've learned along the journey, and there are many things that we're doing to continue to promote a better way in which we do business. And as part of this presentation, I've asked Karen Lackner, who's a strategy leader for the GBS organization, and Mauricio Chavarria, who's our HR leader for the GBS organization, along with other team members, to join me in sharing the story about what we have done, what we have learned, how we are approaching shared services, how do we think about the future of shared services within the spectrum of high-tech technology, high-tech company that is in the fintech space, and maybe out of those learnings, we can share with the audience some good information for your own journeys. So I'd like to ask Karen to tell us a bit about what we do and who we are.
So good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to share our story with you. First and foremost, we wanted to break a little bit on the sidetrack and tell you how Equifax has been transforming. It's a very old company, I would say. It's since the late 1800s, and we are usually associated like a credit bureau, but really this has become such a dynamic company. It's a data analytics and technology company first and foremost. So we do, of course, support credit records or credit reports for mortgages or other industries, but mainly we provide rich insights for business decision making. So that's part of the core of the organization. And of course, that goes throughout different areas, including workforce, for example, management, which are different products that we've added to our portfolio. And so to give you a little bit of context, Equifax is part of the Fortune 1000. We're a public company, so our ticker is in the S&P 500 companies. And we're headquartered in Atlanta, where Hario and I are happily visiting today, but we are based most usually, of course, in Costa Rica. We're about 4,000 employees, and we've reached now about 5 billion in revenue in this past 2021, and hopefully we'll do a little bit of record breaking, of course, this 2022 as well. And so, of course, the brand is very much consolidated in the market, and as a company, also in addition to technology and innovation, we very much focus on having diversity of our workforce. As per culture, for example, in the center of Costa Rica, we have at least 16 different geographies represented and people from different parts of the world working with us to enhance that, and different programs as well in gender equality and women in STEM and other programs that we'll let you know about.
So, and I think as Karen was mentioning, one of the things that we do more than just the typical credit bureau business, which has been a little bit of the mantra and a little bit of the history and context of Equifax, is that we've now turned into a heavy culture around product, data, analytics, and of course, technology. And we do more than just data. And we serve in a multitude of industries and play a pivotal role in how the whole financial ecosystem operates. And there is one way to approach this, and it is by defining our purpose. And that is, we do everything that we can to make sure our people are moving forward. The people is moving forward, and they can reach their financial best in everything we do. And a little bit of what we do, and I'll cover it in the next slide, is that we have created a broad, extensive approach around capability making, and how do we, as a company, add value-add services to our customers. So certainly we have created solutions for our credit risk. We are also driving a lot of decision making, and so we have platforms around decisioning, especially in the marketing space and credit space. We also created a set of products around identity and fraud in response of a lot of the situations, especially in the industry that is to protect our customers' most valuable assets, which is data, infrastructure, and whatnot. And as Karen was mentioning, verification of employment, verification of income, workforce management are some of the differentiators of how we position Equifax as a data-driven company. And to talk about shared services, yeah, we started the journey some time ago, but to talk about shared services, the Equifax GBS organization is the hub for services across the enterprise. So we have more than 2,000 people, heavily concentrated in Costa Rica. We have 2 sites, and from those 2 sites, we support all the geographies, and we really focused on how do we add value to the organization. More than just the typical transactional work, we think about GBS in the space of creating efficiencies, driving quality up, innovation, a lot of innovation. And then certainly, how do we take productivity across the board from the typical, captive location, labor arbitrage piece to areas in which we can capture and translate that productivity into real business income. That could be revenue, that could be innovation, new product support, etc. And we do that basically focusing on building expertise around our core products and having direct access to our customers and consumers around the world. So we're not just a typical back office operation, right? We also do a lot of front office activities, supporting revenue, and of course, supporting our customers. But we do that enabling through capabilities. So when we think about what we do, certainly through cloud technology, what is RPA, machine learning, what is data analytics, what is quality management systems, and many more. So we'll share more with you in a minute.
All right, we're going to take a minute to. Oh.
My apologies. The mouse is a little bit too sensitive, so.
No worries. Okay, so we're going to take a minute to launch the first poll.
So we'll be collecting a little bit of information here, especially from those of you who are looking for continuing professional education, but also for some general insights as to who's on the call today. So please take a moment, select all that apply, and let's see what kind of response we get. Thank you, everyone. I think, Jairo, your team is going to check all of these if they have the opportunity.
I'll give it a few more seconds before we end it. All right.
Okay, no surprise, finance at the top, followed by HR procurement. 42% don't have a center in Costa Rica, so we appreciate that information, and I think you'll find today's session should be very helpful. Any comment from you on that one, Jairo?
Interesting view, right? That would be kind of the typical view of our shared services operation. So we'll tell you what we have in just a moment. Next couple of slides, then we'll tell you what we are. But before that, we share more about our composition. we thought it was good to present what's our journey, right? And we've been in Costa Rica for the last more precisely 27 years. Started operations in 95. So we've established a very interesting footprint in a very interesting ecosystem. We were one of the very first multinational companies establishing operations in Costa Rica back in 95. From there, I say that today we define a vision in which we want to be an organization that talks and helps customers around the globe, that drives innovation in technology, cybersecurity, cloud computing, and automation. And that's our mission, right? So that's how we approach everything we do across the enterprise and across the global business services organization. But we started in 95. In 2010, we decided that it was about time to put up a shared services or global business services strategy. And so we did that. We got the approvals, and then we defined Costa Rica to be that initial center of excellence. And so between 2010 and 2016, we made that case very successful at Equifax. We were able to bring about 400 people when we started. We set out ourselves a target of about 600. We ended up more than 1,000 people. But before we accomplished that in Costa Rica, we also explored other site locations for us to diversify a little bit the geographies in which we were operating. At the end, we decided that we wanted to continue to be committed to Costa Rica because we saw the progress and the evolution made in which we were able to find the right type of talent with the right type of communication skills, language skills, but most importantly for a tech company, technical skills. And so in 2017, most of you guys will remember, if you live in the States, that Equifax suffered a cybersecurity attack that really put this company, which was really proud about security, down to its knees. And we have to really face that and kind of bite the bullet, but for the best, right? So we face a very critical stage within our reality, which was brand reputation went down, right? So that was not a very good time for us to be out there, promote ourselves. But we took that in Costa Rica as an opportunity to help the company. So during the breach that happened to us, we trained about the 1,000 people that we had. We trained them to be on the phones, to be able to cope with what the loss and they were and our population, especially in the US, consumers calling the company to understand what happened. So we went from that to make that a business. Actually, we created a business around breach services in which we recovered. We learned a lot of lessons. So today we help from Costa Rica a multitude of companies that go through a data breach situation, and we help them with our support and products that we enable throughout that stage. From then on, all that represented to us was an opportunity to really transform the company. We decided that we wanted to go cloud native. We invested about $3 billion in cloud transformation, and that represented an opportunity for Costa Rica to continue to show a lot of value in building and prepping those technical skills that help our teams upskill, and we talk about that in a moment, and join those efforts, which was to transform the company. Today, I think we have a plan. We'll share it with you, but we do have a plan in which we have constantly been growing. The company has been acquiring a lot of companies, so we're growing in that respect. We've been transforming, so we're growing in that respect. So we're going in the north to take this shared services organization, turn into really a company that is or a capability that is intended to address the most strategic challenges for the enterprise. So if you go now to the next one, or if you'd like to comment anything here, please do.
Thank you, Jairo, and thank you everybody for spending this time with us today. As Jairo was mentioning, the company made a bold decision to establish their global business services organization here in Costa Rica. And before we go into more of the details, let me make a parenthesis and tell you a little bit about why Costa Rica. Over the last 2.5 decades, the country has been positioning itself as a go-to place for captive centers and global centers within the Americas. This is construction that has been worked by the country by investing heavily in education and stability. And nowadays, this geography or this country is one that can safely say that is one of the most stable places in the Latin America space and the whole Americas. So there is a political stability, is the longest standing or the second longest standing democracy in the region. It is very stable from an economic point of view, very open and well integrated into the global economy. And it's also very stable socially, which has allowed people to invest heavily, people and the government and all the ecosystem into education, which at the end generates a very fertile ground for international companies to set up operations in this location. Now, when you merge that ecosystem with the decision from Equifax to establish a global shared services operation to support their entire company, you have a winning proposition. By now, these organizations serves pretty much every business unit of the company, almost every location in different capacity, and we also serve all the corporate functions that run as horizontals across the company. As you can see from the screen, of course, the main concentration of support, the little bubbles represent the size of the support, but we provide services mainly to our US business, followed by Canada, and then followed by LATAM and the rest of the world. What has then resulted is that in this location, we have what we like to call as a microcosmos of the entire corporation, because every business process and every functional and support process is run out of the center. That allows us to then go in and be a little bit of a petri dish in order when we want to implement or test new things or improve the processes. The other thing that has been very interesting in the composition of this shared services organization is that typically when a company decides to establish such an operation, it's going to be mainly functional, it's going to be mainly on the support function, meaning we start with a finance operation or with a procurement operation, maybe the HR operation, but those are support functions. One of the main differences for our composition is that we started from front with business processes, fulfillment, data intake, data management, and at some point in time, of course, supporting customer calls and consumer calls. Later on, the support functions came in, but this is something that it's very particular for the composition of the center. We started with core client-facing type operations. By now, this is the largest concentration of resources outside of the US. And as I was mentioning, provide function support to pretty much every business unit, every market, and every function. As a result,
and the one thing, just one thing to say, so when you think about the 2,000 people that we have, we also created an interesting approach around digital workforce. We share more in a minute, but we also say we have 2,000 people, 500 bots, as part of this organization goes. Go ahead.
Indeed. So the digital capabilities will certainly have helped us to deliver the value. Now, due to this presence of every business unit, every function, what we have is it's a matrix organization that is completely intertwined with the balance of the corporation. And I think this is one of the key points that I wanna stress. As other organizations think about establishing a captive center or a shared services organization, my recommendation would be make sure that it is an integral part of the strategic planning of the corporation and not as a way or a place to outsource cheap labor. It can be done, but that's more of a BPO type approach. In a true business services environment, what you want is full integration with the strategic priorities of the company. And without going into a lot of detail of the different verticals, what we're trying to represent with this slide is that each of the key priorities of the corporation at the company level are represented and cascaded down to the action plans of the different verticals of groups that we have here, be that technology, transforming into the cloud, operation, managing and expanding our data assets with a customer-centric approach, finance, M&A. We have been growing not only organically, but also through M&As. And if you have been following the news of the company, we've done 11 M&As over the course of the last couple of months, and that will continue to happen. So the team here from the financial services is pivotal to make sure that we integrate those new companies into our financial systems, our processes, and different operations. Of course, security, that is paramount for us. We strive and live on managing and protecting data. So that is something that we do here. And then again, how do we run across in managing and helping the talent from the different geographies to onboard and to go through their employee life cycle. So key takeaway from this point is a true GBS service is linked to the strategic priorities of the company, and it's represented in all the lines of business that exist in that particular organization. Now, if I come back to specific Costa Rica, what, as a result of all of the things that we've covered so far, it has translated into rapid growth over the last period. And contrary to what one would have thought relative to the pandemic, although it was a very difficult situation and it created a lot of suffering and distress around the world, it also created an opportunity for these organizations to really step up and provide even further contributions to the corporation, because as different business units and different organizations were looking for ways to optimize and really cope with what was happening, the organization here, through the capabilities of automation, standardization, and process improvement, was able to present itself as a way to shift work here. And as you can see, from some 1,300 now closing into 2,000, and most likely for 2023, although we're still shaping on the plans, we will continue to grow. Now, coming back again to why Costa Rica, this is an ecosystem that has been able to provide a sufficient and constant source of talent to support our growth, and not only our growth, but also the growth of other multinational companies that are either establishing an operation here or expanding an operation here. We envision that for the next years, growth will continue to materialize, but more importantly, it's not only growth in terms of the number of transactions and volume, and it's also on the type of transactions that are coming to the Global Business Service Center. And this is something that it is important that once you are embarking in this type of journey, that you think about not only the short-term tasks and transactions that your organization develops, but also the long-term ones. The clear focus should be one where you're trying to upskill not only the value, but also the talent. And this slide here, what aims to do is precisely illustrate that. As you progress and mature in your GBS journey, what you will naturally see is that work of a more complex nature will start to come your way. This is what you want, but also you need to pair it up with a system that allows your folks to create additional skills to be able to take on that work. And I mean, the nomenclature that we're displaying is internal, but basically is level of professionals or hierarchical level in terms of technical roles. And what you can see from the slide is that the amount of roles at the higher end is growing. And in fact, you see some layers, what we call a P4, are now present. Internally for us, a P4 is a company-wide, well-respected individual that is driving, defining, or influencing the way we do business in their respective area, be that security, finance, technology, and so on. So what you see is the shift of from the people that do the job to the people that define what and how the job is done. And this is critical for the evolution of a shared service center. If you allow, or if you do not allow for this to happen, at the end of the day, what you risk is that your operation is going to be eroding to the new technologies or to the new automation. You need to be looking to drive and be at the forefront of that innovation so that that additional work and higher level work is the one that is moved to the GBS operation. And this is what we have been striving to do over our more recent history. Moving on, and when we wrap or try to wrap up all of these capabilities and things that we do, the way we want to present it is this organization is going to help you drive the top line and the bottom line. And we're going to be doing that by focusing on creating capabilities that are deployable across the corporation, but we will be doing that on a very customer-centric manner. When we think about the top line areas where we play, basically, and this is very particular to our organization, but you can tailor that to your own organizations, is how do you help the company go to market faster? How do you make sure that you process your leads in a faster way? So from lead to contract, from contract to order, and from order to cash in a faster way, driving that top line revenue. And while focusing on that, how do you implement tools that will allow your business decision makers to do that with faster, real-time, and more insightful information? How do you do that is, or in our case, we are being focusing on driving specialized technical skills in the technology space, in the cybersecurity space, and the compliance. Of course, automation is something that we are strong on. Jairo has been mentioned it before, but a lot of our focus is as we standardize the processes and they're more manageable and systematized, how do we shift that from a human operation to an automatic operation with different levels of automation? We started with simple macros, then with RPA, which is robotic process automation. And then as we progress and learn more, how do we go into AI and machine learning models? The other thing that cannot be overlooked is the margin improvement. So we look at the top line, but we also want to make the operation more efficient. It's undeniable that one of the things that we provide by virtue of the location that we are is a labor arbitrage, but it doesn't have to stay there. It also has to do with how do you improve your productivity per person. And there you have things like process transformation. Look at the process with our lean and PI approach and make those implementations. Again, having all the business processes and all the functional processes, we're able to go in and in a lab environment, make fast iterations. And when we find a winning formula, we deploy it to the balance of the organization. And that's where you capture the majority of the financial gains. So I'm gonna stop here. Jairo, I'm gonna give it back to you. I don't know if you have additional remarks. Oops, sorry.
Yeah, I'd like to just jump in and say this visual with your services catalog, I think is exceptional. When you show the revenue enablement and the margin improvement with your capabilities and your relationships with your customers, I think this visual is very impactful. And a lot of our GBS organizations struggle to showcase the value that they deliver. So this tees up your next slide, I think, very, very well. Well done.
Thank you, Penny.
And as Mauricio was saying, really it's about how do you deliver and visualize, as Penny was commenting, on your internal stakeholders, and of course on the bottom line of the company, where the GBS provides a greater value. So if we look at how we've done very thorough metrics on that, and it goes beyond just the lift and shift of the process and just establishing it. And we always joke internally that try to avoid that condominium type of concept where you just translate the process and have a real estate facility, very nice with a labor arbitrage people. That is a very simplistic way of looking at the strategy, and it will never allow you to scale to really add that value that corporate wise the GBS should offer. So if we look at some of the wins, and this is our Hall of Fame, if you would say, of how it added value, really on the operational part, for example, we've really gone beyond just processing and executing the work that is supported by us, but also a thorough streaming of processes, of efficiencies, of Lean Six Sigma implementations to just really optimize to the T's that those processes, and then of course deliver. For example, in the last 2 years, we've been able to deliver over 20 million in cost savings. That goes again beyond just labor arbitrage. This is cost savings driven by efficiency as well. So it's not just playing that cost game, because you'll get drowned if you do so. Costa Rica will not be your cheapest option. This is a boutique offering. It's scalable, its talent is higher value adding in a very competitive way. Surely enough, of course, it does provide huge labor arbitrage against particularly developed economies. But definitely it's about the strategy that you are able to create and the value that you're able to create. So the other thing that we've done in the operations side is definitely be able to work with our data teams as well to visualize where those white spaces are. And so how we can add value, creating better processes to drive enhanced revenue. So we're able not only to play that cost game, but also support on the top line of the operations. And then, of course, quality plays a key role, and those we've been proven to have those efficiencies versus other FTE locations, and of course, against CTEs as well, where we've been able to sustain the best CSAT or customer satisfaction of all sides. So this again plays into not only thinking of the cost and the revenue, but also the long-term and lifetime value of the customer. And they keep coming and reiterating their business, which of course is this most sensible way of developing your customer base. Now on the security side, we mentioned that Costa Rica hosts one of the global fusion centers and the global fusion center for the corporation. It's very interesting that these guys are the front line of support, and you would say like the first ones to take the bullet in all the cases. And we've been able to sustain or handle more than 3 million cyber threats that have been detected. And of course, we have reiterating events that are currently analyzed about 72,000 annually, which we support. So that's a whole other component of the value adding on technology. If you look at some of the consultancy firms and where they are, the percent share, most of you answered that you would cover HR and finance and those typical procedures that would be embedded in a shared service. what is revealing is that most, over 50% of current shared services, and that is the trend now, are incorporating tech. We've been doing so for quite a while, so this is not new for us at all, as you can see. So we've integrated data, we've streamlined processes, we've worked on security. And lastly, I wanted to comment on the wins that we've been able to create through an amazing team with robotic and automation processes. And this is our SWAT team guys working to really visualize those opportunities for automation, where Haida was mentioning that we do have and count those plus 500 bots as part of our digital workforce. And we do have that, not only the development, but also the management and handling. And of course, one thing that we would like to do within the strategy is to how we can drive this as a corporate citizen of automation as well, which Haida will explain in more detail to come.
Thank you, Karen. I think up until this point, okay, hold on. Yeah, there is just one comment. Up until this point, I think key takeaways, right? It is when you try to build your strategy, think about, like Mauricio said, you have to make sure your strategy ties up to the corporate objectives or the enterprise objectives, right? That's a critical aspect. Second of all, you have to run your business services organization as a business. It cannot be a corporate cost, corporate function or a cost center function. You have to think about how you drive value. You have to think about this is an opportunity, wherever you are in the world, to help the company generate more wealth, but also how to do it in a sustainable way, right? So that would open up doors when you're having strategic conversations at the top of the organization, especially with business leaders. And I think, as you define your model, making sure that people understand, and this is a challenge that we face every day, people really truly understand what you come to offer, what you bring to the table, what you specialize for. What those are the questions that we get all the time. What is it Costa Rica good for, right? What is it the shared services and the GBS organization, what is it that you guys bring to the table? So you have to really think through what's the space and what would be the focus for your organization, right? So for us, we think about innovation, technology-centric, automation, things that we could do in a faster pace because of what Mauricio and Karen described. We don't want to be a condominium. We want to be one team, right? And so that goes to your culture. And last piece is you have to capture value, right? Business outcome, right? Whatever you do, you have to make sure you have a value capture function within your organization, so that none of that is spilled or over, or you have a value leakage somewhere. That is very important that you have that, so that you could communicate easily to the executive team in your organization what you do as a result of your activity. All right, so let's go to the polling question.
All right, so this is the last polling question of the session.
As you think of your GBS model, how would you describe yourself? Are you pretty much a transactional service provider? Are you aspiring to be an enabler? Do you feel that you are an enabler? Or in the case of Equifax, are you a valued business partner? Unknown or unsure is always an option, so please take a moment to respond. We know some of you are harder graders than others, so take that in mind as you submit your response.
We'll give it just a few more seconds here.
Katie? .
All right.
Oh, pretty evenly split. I love that the valued business partner came out highest. So a third of you are in that camp. Sounds like we might have some more webcast presenters, is what I'm seeing. So I'm really excited. Any feedback from you? Hello?
No, I think that's the right track. Yeah, this is an evolution, right? So don't get discouraged if you think you're still a transactional service provider. That's where we started, right?
It takes time. It does. It simply takes time. That reputation and building in those value propositions, a little bit of marketing and branding in there. So we do have content to help our companies, our members with branding and marketing, but that value proposition does need to be front and center. So thanks for the feedback on that.
You bet. So I think in the next 10 minutes, I'd like to cover real quick what are the things behind what is it behind the scenes at Equifax and what we do in order to drive business process transformation, digital adoption, and digital transformation, so that we can leave at least 5 minutes to the end for any Q&A. But we go to the next one. What's important for GBS organizations to think about how do you assemble the pieces of work that you have internally. In our experience, we designed an integrating solution which was around business process automation, and that was to create an innovation lab. So, give an example: you have a true business problem, whether that is your customers or you have churning with your customers, or you have problems with payments, or whatever business problem you find, make it so that you can take it through a very I'll say robust process. For us, that's the approach, right? So we bring those ideas, we bring the experts, we design the solution, and then we incorporate capabilities and the innovation lab. And those capabilities go from documenting your processes, really transforming that into technical information that can then be later consumed by either the user or the technology teams. Set up your quality mechanism, right? Make sure that what you're doing it right, and you're doing it right every time. Then bring the insights. What's going on? What's the data telling you? And then with that, then you design an optimization of the process where it can translate into either typical process improvement, Lean Six Sigma type of thing, or you could take it even one step further, which is you optimize and then you automate, right? Or you automate and then optimize. It really depends on the type of program. But our approach to GBS as a driver of transformation is to consider it as an innovation lab. And with that, we'll integrate that pilot. We test it in a controlled environment, and then once we get the results, we fine tune it, and then we operationalize it as quickly as possible, right? So you have to be really fast, but you really need to think through all the different elements that your organization can bring in. Typically, in a GBS organization nowadays, we have an operational excellence approach, right? Or a leader. We do have one, Inoska. She's kind of the mastermind behind some of these concepts that have been applied for years now. So if you go to the next one, once you define your, say your model, then certainly when you go into the lab, you have to have a framework of operations. So that way, every single business problem and opportunity, you will bring it through the pipeline, you will do the assessment, you will create the documentation, you try to create the standards or measure the standards of your business processes, then you bring the different tools that help you analyze what's wrong, what would be the potential opportunity, and then you can start discovering all those opportunities when that can translate into a continuous process improvement or an automation that can help the business achieve their goals, right? So I'm being very generic here because these are pretty generic content. But I'll go to the next one to give you a little bit more detail. So when we think about our strategy to drive transformation, drive digital adoption, drive automation, we set a goal, which was we want to create a culture around automation. We set it for the GBS organization first, and then we sold it to the world. Today, from the GBS organization in Costa Rica, we have created several centers of excellence. One is the Automation Global Center of Excellence for the enterprise. Every single automation opportunity that appears or is discovered across the enterprise, no matter the geography, the GBS organization has the responsibility to help the business unit understand it, assess it, create the business case, and then bring the right set of technologies through an automation or intelligent automation approach. So we set not only the culture, but we also set the standards. Today, as Karen was mentioning, one of the key things that we have delivered back to the company is that from the last few years, we have created capacity equivalent to more than 3 million man hours of work that is currently being executed by our digital workforce. So when we think about talent, which is what we need, people, we're adding functions, we're adding value, or more of higher complex functions, then what happens with the transactional piece? We leave it all to the digital workforce, right? But that has to be a very deliberate strategy for you, right? In our case, we set the automation culture as the goal. We created the standards that now are global. We're now driving adoption across the globe. So we do have, like it was discussed before today, a clear, or at least we try to have a clear marketing strategy. And we can always do more of that, right? So share to the world what we do. But we have a very dynamic way of thinking about innovation in the technology space. So when you think about machine learning, when you think about speech analytics, when we think about how do we integrate people with bots or people with other technologies, which is the human loop approach, when you bring some of these other technology capabilities, such as computer vision and natural language processing, we now have implemented from RPA to Google AI solutions across the enterprise. And we go to the next one. Yeah, it is how you define a business model or an operating model that can help you scale your capability across the enterprise. In our case, we define it to be an operating model in which the business units are driving some of that discovery of opportunities. So we have designated a new role within the enterprise, which is the automation champion. We train people across the globe. They are embedded in the business processes, and they will bring those ideas to the table. With that, we create an inventory of opportunities. We will groom it every month, right? We create those, take those opportunities into a real pipeline that we can actually deliver, and we then can surface that information back to the executive so that decisions are made. And what you're doing from an automation perspective, it makes sense not only operationally, but it also makes sense about how does that help achieve business goals. And then with that, you have to be very good at execution, right? So bring the right talent. We decided that on the RPA space, we're going to build the talent, right? So we're not typically buying, we're building talent from scratch. That's a little bit of applying what Mauricio said about upskilling and rapidly bringing all those skills and providing a path for people coming out of college technical high schools in Costa Rica, and in about a year and a half time frame, then you have experts already well trained, and they can help many regions in the globe to deliver their goals. And you go to the next one. This is the last one. This is the last one I'll speak. But think about how do you drive adoption, right, across the enterprise? So we do it by creating an awareness program that is available through our corporate intranet, through Workday. right? We do have objectives within different organizations for people to understand what automation is and how they can use it. We've created Academy Live type of approach where we bring experts from our partners. We will bring our own experts. We'll bring a bunch of folks into a room and we give them, say, a whole week of quick exercises and even start their certification journey when we think about citizen developers. But then definitely the innovation lab, which is going to drive a lot of attention about what we do. We do have created a very robust training program. We have a customer success manager in place to make sure that we are being honest, or by our customers, they're keeping us honest about what we do. But also we created a lot of excitement across the enterprise. So hackathon, robothon events, really drive a lot of attention, and that helps people kind of get all excited and all engaged about, hey, I want to do this for the company. I want to bring value. I want to create a technological partner that sits right next to me that helps me do my job better. All right, so I think that would be for today, and I'll take it back to you guys and see if there's any question.
Wow. Well, I love the presentation. A big accolades to you, and thank you for the bonus of having Karen and Mauricio present as part of today's session. I was jotting down some questions, and every time I jotted down a question, almost the next thing out of one of your mouths was the answer. So let's see if any other questions came through the chat with Katie, and then we'll do a quick wrap up. But absolutely a brilliant presentation. Thank you so much.
There's no questions yet in the Q&A.
Wow. See, everyone's probably thinking like I did. I had a question and you answered it. So any closing comments from your side, Jairo, or others, Karen and Mauricio? We really enjoyed your insights.
I don't know, guys, any closing comments on your side?
Just to thank everybody for their time. And if there are any follow-up questions, by all means, channel them through Penny and the Hackett team, and we'll be glad to provide further perspectives if needed.
We love it, and we appreciate it.
We'd be happy to do a little bit of benchmark between peer companies as well. We always love to learn from other experiences as well, so we'll be happy to chat.
And thanks again for the opportunity to share our story.
Okay, and we big shout out to the team from Cindy who helped get you as a speaker for us. So thank you to them, and have a wonderful rest of the day. Katie, any last minute instructions?
Other than what you've already covered, thank you again for joining today's webcast. When you do exit out of the Zoom, the evaluation survey will appear in your browser. We'll send it to you via email as well. Again, we do encourage everyone to provide feedback, and this evaluation is a requirement if you would like to receive CPE credit. Thank you again for joining and having a wonderful rest of your day. This does conclude today's Hackett webcast.